Nandini, it's visible now.
Okay, okay, okay. There must be some
It's
problem.
visible. Okay, okay.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
yes.
Okay, so shall we start?
Yes, you can start, Priya. You can start.
Okay, okay.
Continue.
Okay, thank you. So now, see the story, the yellow wallpaper, it's becoming very popular nowadays. Now this short story, it was written by Charlotte Anna Perkins Gilman Stetson and was published in the year 1892 in the New England Magazine. Now, Gilman, she was not only a notable American writer of the 19th and the 20th century, but was also a feminist and one of the leading theorists of women's rights movement of 1960s and 70s that demanded equal rights, opportunities, and freedom for every woman in every sphere of the society. Besides, she had a close relationship with visual and decorative arts, and she studied drawing and painting at Rhode Island School of Design and served as an interior decorator for Pasadena Opera House. Now, in the year 1884, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, she married her Charles Walter Stetson, and the very next year in 1885, she gave birth to her only child, Catherine Stetson. Now, it is said that Perkins Gilman, she suffered from postpartum depression after her pregnancy. Now, we need to understand this term postpartum psychosis because it is very much linked with the story of the yellow wallpaper. Now, as you can see here, the postpartum psychosis, which is also known as puerperal or postnatal psychosis, is a very rare but very serious mental illness that can affect a woman after she gives birth to her baby. The common symptoms of postpartum psychosis are hallucinations, delusions, that is false thought or belief, manic mood, that is mood swing, depression, loss of inhibitions, that is reckless behavior, suspicious, being suspicious or fearful, restlessness, confusion, and unnatural behavior. So these are the common symptoms of postpartum, and Gilman was suffering from this disease. And she had to undertake her treatment from Dr. Silas Weir Michel. In the story, The Yellow Wallpaper, we will find that the protagonist too suffers from this postpartum psychosis after her pregnancy. And as I have told you, her husband warns her that if she does not maintain the rest cure, then she will have to undertake the treatment of this doctor, Silas Weir Michel. Now, excuse me, so now this post, okay, now it is, okay, now it is noteworthy that the year of publication of this yellow wallpaper was in the year 1892, and this same year is quite notable for those American literary works that emerged during that time because most of the works were feministic in nature. That means those works actually tried to illustrate the attitudes of men, especially men, or the society towards the mental and physical condition of women during the 19th century. Now, in order to understand this fact, we will have to just discuss a little bit about the 19th century madness. Now, this 19th century, it was an era of scientific progress and medical advancement. There was, for example, the birth of psychiatry. There was the birth of new asylums. And I should tell you that previously, there was the concept of asylums did not exist. Else, there was the madhouse concept. So, it was during the 19th century that new asylums were built. But interesting enough, those asylums were only meant for the poor and the middle class people, while the rich people were taken care at home. And there was new diagnoses in the field of medical science. As you can see, like hysteria, we are acquainted with this term, I think. Anorexia nervosa, that is the fear of overweight. I think most of the girls still have this. And there was neurasthenia. Neurasthenia is nervous fatigue, physical and mental fatigue. And besides this, of course, there was the postpartum psychosis. And once again, it is noteworthy that all these diseases or mental illness were attributed to women only. And there was only a single treatment for all these diseases. It was the rest cure, which was invented by Dr. Silas William Michel, who previously served as a Civil War doctor. He was a nurse specialist, of course, and he also treated, as I have told you, he also treated Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Now, what happened? The rest cure that he prescribes, it actually demands plenty of rest and adequate amount of nutritious and healthy food. According to him, the rest cure could be used to quoting him, according to him, the rest cure could be used to discipline women whose illness became a means of avoiding household activities. Now, in her autobiography, namely The Living of Charlotte Perkins Gilman, Gilman records exactly Michel's words, what Michel advised her. You can see here in the slide, he said, live as domestic a life as possible. Have your baby with you all the time. And please note this, never touch pen, brush or pencil as long as you live. That means somewhere indirectly suggests her to restrain from any sort of creativity. That means somewhere he feels that women are not meant for any sort of creativity. They are meant for household activities only. And those who will try to break this, they will be considered as mentally ill. And they are prescribed rest cure so that they are censored from writing anything. Now, Michel's detection of Gilman, I would like to say it was utterly wrong, because it was the baby who was responsible for her stress. Hence, what happened? Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, Priya, yes.
Yes, Priya, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Hence, she was in a state of utter depression and frustration. And it is said that it is said that somebody I think has unmuted. Please mute your audio. Hello. Okay, thank you. So it is said that she started crawling around the dark corners of her room out of frustration, and she even made a rag doll hanging around the doorknob. But don't you feel that, Gilman was quite educated enough to understand the fact that Michel and the other doctors, they were actually trying to establish this concept that women were contagious because of their femininity. So the yellow wallpaper, it can be said to be a protest against this concept. It is a stern refusal of a woman driven towards insanity to be fit into the pattern of the patriarchy. Now, during the 19th century, the status of women was like an angel in the house, that is submissive, docile, and obedient to men. Women were seen to be more prone towards mental illness in the eyes of men. And when any woman tried to cross the limits, craving for her freedom, oppositions came from medical as well as scientific fields, describing it to be against the natural law. Over-education of females was considered to be leading to insanity by reason, and women who were treated at home, the upper class women, they could get the scope of expressing themselves through writing, but there was a condition in a secretive way. They used to hid that from their house members, as the protagonist here does in the yellow wallpaper. She hides her diary from her husband. Now, in a letter to Charlotte Bronte, Robert Southey states here, please note once again in the slide, it is, I have mentioned it, literature is not the business of a woman's life, and it cannot be. So, see the restrictions imposed upon the women. They could only describe about nature, about innocent love. In their writings, logical or more meaningful works of females were censored. And they were forbidden not only to write about their emotions, but also of their bodies. And perhaps this may be the reason why you can find many female authors wrote under the male pseudonym. Now, Florence Nightingale, we all have heard her name. Before her revolutionary work in the field of nursing, she also suffered from depression and suicidal thoughts. In the year 1852, in her essay Cassandra, she states, just here, give us back our suffering. We cry to heaven in our hearts. Suffering rather than indifferentism, for out of nothing comes nothing. Better have pain than paralysis. So see how the women, especially the educated women, suffered from not being able to express themselves. Okay, so this opinion of Florence Nightingale seems to be a stark contrast to the concept of rest cure, isn't it? And I think it's no doubt that a yellow wallpaper seems to be quite influenced by these notions. Now, it's time to make a direct entry into the text. Now, while analyzing the nature of the protagonist, I find that the first thing that comes to my mind is the protagonist really insane? If so, then what can be the possible reasons behind her insanity? So, according to me, as I have tried just to explore a little bit, pardon if I may be wrong, I don't know, but I have tried from my part. I have tried to find out two possible reasons here. The one is psychological, and another one is social, which may be the possible reasons behind our insanity. And these two are quite interrelated to each other. Now let's first discuss the psychological one, and automatically the social one will get linked up with it. From the very beginning, if you read the text, then you will find that the protagonist, like Gilman, was suffering from postpartum psychosis, and we have discussed it in details already. Now, besides this, what happened, as she was confined within the four walls of her room, she had nothing to do but to look at the hideous, bizarre wallpaper, ugly yellow wallpaper. Now, as she was prohibited from any sort of creativity and nothing else to do, she only looked at it and tried to find out or tried to explore the pattern of that wallpaper. While doing so, she initially detested it, and it created a sort of she was physically, of course, she was quite fatigued. Besides this, she was also suffering from a mental fatigue resulting in neurasthenia. Now, as she tried to delve into the pattern, into exploring the pattern, a kind of hysteric, what I should say, that she actually was becoming a hysteric. Why? Because the more she tried to explore the pattern, the more she entered into its depth, and she started imagining the pattern to be the figure of an imaginary woman creeping around, and in front of her there are bars which she is trying to break. So this was an imagination of the protagonist, and this led her to some kind of hysteria. Her behavior started becoming somewhat unnatural, if we judge her character from the medical point of view. Now, I would like to say here one thing, that the term hysteria actually originated from the Greek word hystera, that means uterus, which is related to female. So during the 19th century, hysteria was identified as typically feminine disease. As I have told you that both the psychological and social are interrelated according to me. Now, the common symptoms of hysteria were heart palpitation, fits, choking, laughing, fainting, etc. And even some physicians, please note, associated it with abnormal sexual activity of women because of their physical and mental inferiority to men. So once again, we can find that these things were attributed to women only. Besides this, I have found here that the protagonist was suffering from another illness, pareidolia. Now, it may or may not be called an illness because it is a common symptom, but if it increases, one may be driven towards insanity. Now, what is pareidolia? Let's discuss it. Now, pareidolia is a tendency of the human mind to perceive a familiar structure that is actually non-existent. For example, seeing shapes in clouds, as you can find here, the first image is a cloud pareidolia. Here you can imagine a deer is within the clouds, and we often do this by staring at the clouds. So seeing shapes in clouds, faces in inanimate objects or abstract patterns, or hearing hidden messages in music. During Renaissance, it was a topic of interest. Even artists like Leonardo da Vinci and his contemporaries made an use of it in painting. And the second image you can find here is a green bell pepper, and if we look at it carefully, then we will find ghostly faces staring at us. Isn't it bizarre? So it's our imagination actually. So James Sully, in his Illusions, a psychological study in the year 1881, mentions the pastime of, to quote him, mentions the pastime of discovering familiar forms, and also notices the observer's power of variously interpreting the relative position of bands or strips on fabrics such as wallpapers according to wish. So it is possible for anybody to imagine any sort of structure or bands or strips on wallpapers, as the protagonist of this story does. Now, another example I would like to give here in case of pareidolia is a critic once talked of a real-life case of Alfonso Daudet, suffering from neuro disease, who changed his room just because he imagined, by looking at the figure on a frieze, he imagined it to be the face of a vicious man. Now, again in the year 1881, Francis Dalton's The Vision of Sane Persons was published in the Popular Science Monthly. Here, the article actually analyzes the effect of wallpapers on the people having visions from a physiological perspective. Now, interesting enough, Gilman was an avid reader of this journal, Popular Science Monthly, and her diary notes that she read the issue of 1881, during which this article of Francis Galton was published. So, yeah, perhaps she can be influenced from This also the okay. So let's go back to the previous one. Now, beside all this, she can be said to be, as I have found here, to be suffering from schizophrenia. She was schizophrenic, not initially, but gradually she became so, because when she started imagining a woman, figure of woman creeping around the wallpaper, she somewhere tried to relate her situation with that woman and tried to enact accordingly, which gradually drove her towards insanity. So all these illness can be found within this protagonist of the story. Now, the protagonist, she was entirely isolated from everything. All she needed was the intense love, care and company of her husband, who, on the contrary, treats her like a girl child, to quote, a blessed little goose, who seems to be entirely dependent upon her symbolical father. He warns her not to give way to any sort of imagination, lest it will be causing her nervous breakdown. Now, imagination, I'd like to say, it is something assumed, once again, to be a feminine quality, as opposed to the rational male, and hence it is denied by the male. But at the same time, we should not forget this fact that art is impossible without imagination. Or in other words, we can say that without imagination is no creation, isn't it? So somewhere, a female writer becomes, don't you feel, a potential threat to the dominant male? And maybe, perhaps, this is the reason that they wanted to suppress the creativity. The males wanted to suppress the creativity at that time of the females by carving their imagination, by carving their imaginative power. Dr. Michel's rescue is therefore can be said to be a politics towards women, restricting them within their doll's house. The protagonist of the story suffers the same. And when her creativity is being censored by her physician husband, her imagination finds a displacement. The Freudian term, I am referring here, displacement. And here it is the yellow wallpaper actually that displaces the writing pad in which she tries to imprint her own thoughts, the story of her life. The entrapped woman in the wallpaper can be said to be her own projection, trying to escape from the patriarchal pattern. Yes, it is the pattern designed by the patriarchy. The pattern of the yellow wallpaper may be said to be a pattern designed by the patriarchy for the female. Now, it is significant to note that initially, the protagonist, as I told you, detested the wallpaper, finding it to be somewhat bizarre, grotesque. Now, in this context, let's move on towards studying the pattern of the yellow wallpaper. The first thing to be noticed here is that whatever we get to know about the wallpaper is from the narrator herself. So, we cannot be definite about which of the designs she observes is real and which of the designs are imaginary actually. So, the real and the unreal merges, driving her into a schizophrenic state, as I've told you. And that's why, in spite of her initial disgust, she started becoming very fond of it. She felt an attraction, as if now she is being able to, because she is being able to connect herself with that woman in the wallpaper, and she confidently states, I am determined that nobody shall find it out but myself. So she feels proud of her discovery. The confidence of her emerges from a kind of security in her. in the otherwise insecure world. Now, it is to be noted that the protagonist remains anonymous throughout, isn't it? We don't know her name. Somewhere she is actually suffering from a sort of identity crisis, and whatever is her identity, it remains in connection to her physician husband, John. In spite of being a wife to the physician, she feels confident about the fact, maybe perhaps due to her identity crisis, that this is the fact that because her husband is a physician, that's why she is not getting well faster. Now, we cannot altogether ignore her belief, calling her to be insane, because women at that time were actually being imposed by certain restrictions. They were treated like this. And the most important fact is that they were prohibited from creativity. Here also we find that the protagonist misses that intellectual act of writing and conversation. Thus, she can find only two ways of escape from her symbolical confinement. What are those two ways? The one is a diary that she maintains very secretively, and the other one is the wallpaper. Her discovery. She now starts hallucinating the pattern to be the figure of the creeping woman trapped behind the birds, and she becomes gradually obsessed with it. Now, let's see the description of the wallpaper. The wallpaper was described as old, damaged, and dirty, with great patches strangely faded, and the color is a smoldering, unclean yellow. There is dull yet lurid orange in places with a sickly sulfur tint. Now, the entire description is quite grotesque. And don't you feel that it sounds like something, an infected wound with oozing pus? So, this wound can be called to be a metaphorical wound, indicating the invisible wound of the protagonist that is incurable. Now, Gilman again describes the wallpaper as interminable string of toadstools, that is fungus, budding and sprouting endless convolutions. Now, we can find here that there is a hidden criticism behind this description, which is quite ambiguous in nature. On the one hand, Gilman actually criticizes the patriarchal system emerging, the then patriarchal system, I must say, emerging like fungus and engulfing the weaker section within its entails. On the contrary, she may also be said to be criticizing the medical system of medical practices of that time that contaminated the minds of the patients. And Gilman, no doubt, was too affected. She was so much affected that it almost drove her towards insanity. Now, I must say in one of her articles, why I wrote the yellow wallpaper, I would just like to read some of the excerpts from this article. She said, then after she went at first to Dr. Silas Michel for treatment, and gradually she felt that his treatment was actually not the right one. He is trying to suppress her creativity, her all possible, the possible ways by which she can express herself, and he is actually restricting her. So she says, after that, then using the remnants of intelligence that remained, she was clever enough, that's why she mentions herself to be intelligent, and helped by a wise friend, I cast the noted specialist's advice to the winds and went to work again. Work, the normal life of every human being. Work in which is joy and growth and service. Yes, she mentions her work, creativity to be joyful. It promotes growth and service. without which one is a pauper and a parasite. So somewhere when she was lacking her creativity due to the rescuers, she felt herself to be a parasite to the patriarchy, ultimately recovering some measure of power. Being naturally moved to rejoicing by this narrow escape, I wrote the yellow wallpaper. This was the reason of writing the story, with its embellishments and additions to carry out the ideal, and sent a copy to the physician who so nearly drove me mad. He never acknowledged it. So, Michel, she sent a copy to Dr. Michel, but he never acknowledged. He never sent any response. The little book is valued by Alienists and as a good specimen of one kind of literature. It has, to my knowledge, saved one man from a similar fate, woman from a similar fate, so terrifying her family that they let her out into normal activity and she recovered. So you can see here that she refers the psychiatrist or the nurse specialist to be alienist. And she also gives an example of a real life woman who was inspired by her writing so much that her family let her enjoy her freedom, else she too would have been driven towards insanity. But the best result is, many years later, I was told that the great specialist, she's criticizing Dr. Michel actually, had admitted to friends of his that he had altered his treatment of neurasthenia since reading the yellow wallpaper. It's a good one that he changed his mind after reading the yellow wallpaper. And last of all, she suggests, it was the end part of this article, it was not intended to drive people crazy, but to save people from being driven crazy, and it worked. So this was the reason of her writing the yellow wallpaper, and it's very clear that she is actually criticizing the then medical practices which led the women to become a parasite. Now, okay, so once again, let's come back to the wallpaper. The pattern of the wallpaper, again, if we study it in details, according to me, it seems to represent the women's nature as well from the perspective of male. Usually, the males view women as dull, confusing, irritating, feeble, and self-destructive at that time. It infers that women are untrustable, incapable of decision making, and hence they should be kept under strict vigilance. That's why there is a mention within the text of, within quote, eyes everywhere. So this protagonist also imagined eyes everywhere within the wallpaper. Now it is quite ambiguous, because on one hand it may refer to the eyes of the helpless women trying to find a way to escape from the imprisonment, and on the other hand it may also refer to the male gaze, eyes everywhere. Okay, so it may also refer to the male gaze. Now and the bars that she imagined here in the wallpaper may be said to be the symbolic restriction destined for the females. The phrases the protagonist or the narrator uses here, like debased Romanesque or florid Arabesque, is suggestive of the complicating, hyper-imaginative and superficial nature of women. Now this can be analyzed as optically unpleasant ornament that is psychologically unhealthy. The yellow color, why the color is yellow? Why not other colors? So according to me, as I tried to find out, the yellow color actually signifies, it has different connotations. So it may say to signify instability, mental illness, and cowardice, nature which is once again ascribed to women. In the early 20th century, Franz Marc, she developed a theory of color symbolism, stating that the yellow actually symbolizes femininity because it is gentle, cheerful, and sensual. Contrarily, the protagonist here feels the color to be revolting. So somewhere from the point of view of the protagonist, the color actually signifies the revolting nature of women, the imprisoned women. Finally, we can deduce that the protagonist was schizophrenic, no doubt, but at the same time, we can't overlook her predicament. Her illusion of numerous creeping women actually represent every woman of the then society. Now the protagonist no more remains a distant observer of the wallpaper, but she acts accordingly, imitating the unreal, creeping around her locked room by daylight. Her husband, John, appears to be unfamiliar to her now, and she wishes to remain alone with that wallpaper. She refuses to go out from that room. Finally, she ensures her victory, but at the cost of her insanity. Her husband faints seeing her in this condition. Maybe perhaps he is being unable to encounter this sort of revolution from his transformed wife. Her creeping over her husband may be said to be the liberating act of selfhood and assertiveness. Now, according to Simone de Beauvoir, she argues that a society that is systematized by men considers female to be inferior. Only a female can destroy that inferiority through doing away with the superiority of men. The protagonist here in the yellow wallpaper can be said to, she does the same actually, and her creeping over her husband is a sort of negation and contradiction of the patriarchal values. She just tried to find a way out of the labyrinth of the domineering masculinity. So, thank you for having patience and listening to my presentation, and pardon for any sort of glitches from my part. Over to Nandini.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Das, for this. Yes, thank you so much, Professor Das, for this academically stimulating session. And now the session is open to interaction and observations. Participants are requested to post questions in the chat box. Okay, I can see one question from Professor Purva Chakraborty. She says, excellent presentation. Do you think that this text can be assessed as a medical humanities text?
Of course, as I have found here that as I have told you during my presentation, that Gilman, she wrote the yellow wallpaper not only as a sort of entertainment, but she found that it is actually prescribing a sort of cure for the otherwise mentally ill women who were being confined in this sort of rest cures. So this text can be said to be obviously a sort of inspiration or a sort of medical treatment, yes, for those actually suffering from this kind of lack of creativity, from boredom, or from this sort of confinement. For those women, nowadays it's quite liberal for women to they have this kind of freedom to express their creativity. They are quite liberal enough, but at that time it was not that situation. The situation was not like that. So this text obviously served as a cure for those women. So obviously, I think that it can throughout be assessed as a medical humanities text.
Thank you, Priya. Okay, Priya, thank you so much. This has been quite an interesting session where you analyzed the yellow wallpaper from a psychological angle. Thank you so much. It has been interesting, and we were greatly mesmerized by your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Okay, now let's move on to the next session where Professor Ahuna Bhattacharya will deliver her lecture. The title of her paper is Insanity and Beyond, Analyzing, very sorry. The title of her paper is Ted Hughes and Nature. Now, Professor Ahuna Bhattacharya is currently appointed as an assistant professor of English in St. Xavier's College, Burdwan. She has completed her BA and MA from University of Burdwan and MPhil from Vishwabharati University. Previously, she has temporarily served as a lecturer in 4 different colleges. Her area of interest includes children's literature, popular literature, post-structuralism, feminism and eco-criticism. Apart from this, she has also a diploma in French from Institut D. Chandranagar. Okay, so yes, Ahuna, you may begin with your talk, and we are looking forward to hear from you. Over to you, Ahuna.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the kind words. I was wondering if I could begin now because it's 11, almost 11:50. It's not 12 yet, so I suppose I can begin,
Yes,
right?
yes, Ahuna, you may begin.
All right, all right. I may take a minute or two for this presentation.
Okay, sure.
Just bear with me.
Yes, sure.
Just
Priya, are you here? Professor Priya Das, are you here? হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ভালো হয়েছে এই একটু এখানে আয় একটা কোয়েশ্চেন আছে আর একটা হ্যাঁ 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 ঠিক আছে বলতে পারবি তুই আয় হুম হ্যাঁ ওকে হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে কোনো প্রবলেম নেই করে দে তুই 2 মিনিট ওয়েট করবি একটা কোয়েশ্চেন আছে প্রিয়ার জন্য তারপরেই আমি আবার হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes, Professor
হ্যাঁ, আমার
Das. Yes, you can hear
Yeah.
me, right? Okay. There is another question from Vishal Chakraborty. Great presentation, madam. My question is, what is the impact of the yellow color in this text?
Yeah, well, as I have already mentioned, the significance of the color yellow, that it has different connotations, but in this context, in particularly the yellow wallpaper, it signifies actually from the perspective, if we judge the color from the perspective of the protagonist, then it is a color of revolution for her. That's why somewhere in the text she mentions this color to be revolting in nature. And on the other hand, it also signifies the nature, the femininity. It signifies femininity. It signifies the nature of women. Because I have already mentioned the name of Franz Marc, who actually developed this theory of color symbolism, describing this yellow color, to be feminine in nature. Okay, because of its gentility, cheerfulness, sensuality. Yes, women once again are always referred to be sensual in nature. So from different viewpoints we can judge the color. And in this context, it obviously, on one hand, it signifies femininity, instability, mental illness. Yes, it is also the cause of mental illness. And from the point of view of the protagonist, of course, it signifies the color of revolution. So
Thank you so much,
that's it.
Professor Das.
I think
Yes.
Vishal got his answer. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you, Vishal, for questioning, and thank you, Purba, also for questioning. And thanks to everybody for listening. And thank you, Dr. Maiti.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Now let's
Okay.
move on to our next